Hey builders, got something truly exciting lined up for you today. We're going to take the standard FlutterFlow chat template and give it superpowers thanks to BuildShip's Backend Brawn. Forget the basic API call to ChatGPT that's baked into the template. We're going to trigger a BuildShip workflow that empowers your very own custom AI assistant to engage with users in a whole new way. The real game changer here is the versatility. Your assistant isn't just smart, it's connected. With access to any node or integration that BuildShip supports, your AI can pull in data and insights to make conversations richer and more informative. Imagine an assistant that doesn't just chat, it taps into your documents, crunches your data, and interacts with your entire digital ecosystem to deliver responses that are not just relevant, but incredibly personalized to you and your use case. I've dubbed these two the low-code power couple in the past, and I absolutely stand by that statement. So let's explore the endless possibilities when the simplicity and convenience of FlutterFlow meets the boundless potential of BuildShip. To get started, click the Marketplace tab here in FlutterFlow. That will bring up the FlutterFlow Marketplace. If you scroll down to the popular items, you'll see this ChatGPT template. This is a great starting point, but it also forms a fantastic base if we wanted to extend it and instead of calling ChatGPT alone, calling our BuildShip workflow instead and having return the results. Click Add Now. Sign in, and in FlutterFlow, you're ready to go. All right, we'll need to get our heads around how this template works. If we come over here to the icon button, we can see there are 6 actions. In our action flow editor, we can see that when a user hits the send button, it saves the chat history to a page state variable. It calls OpenAI's ChatGPT, and if successful, it updates the page state with the chat history again. So that works great. And it's broadly the same process that we're going to want to do with our assistant AI in BuildShip. So let's jump across to BuildShip and decide what sort of assistant we want to be chatting with. There's a huge range of templates in this section. You can chat with your database, a Google Sheet, analyze data, or even act as a tour advisor. But the template we're using in this example is the website Q&A template. With this assistant, the user gives it a URL and what it wants to find out from that URL. The assistant goes away, scrapes the website, analyzes the data, and brings back the result. All you need to do is get the assistant ID from platform.openai.com. I'll link to our Getting Started video in the description, which gives a detailed overview of how to get an assistant ID. Then simply ship your workflow and hit the Export API button. This is a great shortcut for getting your BuildShip endpoints into FlutterFlow. Hit the Export YAML button, and then back in FlutterFlow, we go to the API section, click on the Upload button in the top left, and upload our YAML file. This automatically creates an API group, and inside it is our API call. This is a great segue to talk about how an assistant AI call works. Think of your thread ID as your conversation chat history for your entire conversation. In this instance, it's going to be your conversation about the particular website that you're asking your assistant to give you information on. A thread ID is created the very first time you initiate a conversation with your assistant, and including it in subsequent calls means that you don't have to resend your entire conversation history. It's already stored for you at OpenAI. But to facilitate this in our API call, we're going to need to create a variable. So we go here to our variable screen and create a thread ID. It's a string. And we make sure it's included in the body. Hit save. And now we'll swap out the existing API call for our new BuildShip workflow. We'll come down here and we'll create a new page state variable called thread ID. Now it's important that we click nullable because this variable will start out null, and hit confirm. Again, we'll come down here to the icon button, open the action flow editor, and we want to amend this API call. So we'll swap this out for our BuildShip call, and we'll add in our thread ID. Now remember, we only get a thread ID after we initiate a conversation for the first time. So we'll include some conditional formatting here. And we'll say if our page state variable called thread ID is set and not empty, well, we'll send it. Otherwise, we'll send an empty string. And BuildShip will know exactly what to do with that. Last, but very much not least, we actually need to send what question the user is sending over to our API endpoint. So we'll come in here and make sure we include that in our API call, and we'll include it in the body as content. We'll need to create a new variable. It's a string. Great. Now, when the user asks a question, we'll send the content across, which comes from our widget state. We'll get back our thread ID and start the conversation all over again. Okay, time to test it out. We're going to ask our app about the trigger nodes as described on docs.buildship.com. Now remember, you have to include a web URL in your first request. There we have it, a summary of the trigger nodes on docs.buildship.com. You can even copy that to the clipboard. Now, we're going to ask about the integrations. Note that we don't put a website or anything really. Our assistant remembers that we're talking about BuildShip and brings back the response accordingly. I hope you're as excited as we are about the potential of BuildShip's AI Assistant Builder. Let us know what you're building in the comments, join us on Discord, and happy BuildShipping.